Diablo 4 is one of the most disappointing games of all time. The hype was there, and what did we get? Absolute disappointment. 120% disappointment, in fact. This was the most disappointing thing I have seen in a long time, okay? But is Blizzard finally doing something right? Well, as honestly with everything Blizzard, they are taking one step forward, but at the same time, they are taking two steps backward here. You see, Blizzard is a uniquely stupid company. And the Goblin expansion, the Goblin feature, I predicted that this is gonna come. This was actually the thing that I call that is gonna be the newest thing that they implement into the game. Because if you haven't noticed, Blizzard is currently copying literally everything from Diablo 3 blindly to Diablo 4. And this is just pure stupidity. Do you know why this is pure stupidity? You have games like Path of Exile 2. Even old school Runescape does it. And yet, Blizzard is the only company that is stupid enough to completely mess this up. Path of Exile 2 is taking all of the features from Path of Exile 1 that people like the most and putting them into the game. And the things that people did not like, aka Lake of Kalandra, which I personally liked, but minority sadly, they're not putting that in. Old school RuneScape is literally putting all of old school RuneScape's updates currently that game is getting are RuneScape 3's updates that people liked. Everything that people disliked, they're not putting into the game, they're just shoving it out. They're not even looking at that direction. And yet we have Blizzard here, sitting with Diablo 3, a game throughout the years that actually did a lot of different things. And what are they doing? Are they implementing the best parts, the best expansions, the best things that Diablo 3 actually made and had to offer its players? No! Fuck that! They're literally just copy-pasting every shitty mechanic that doesn't make sense in Diablo 4. And thus they are here at Goblins. By the way, my next prediction is a version of the Infernal Ring crafting. Because, obviously, I guess, right? But yeah, I told you. I literally predicted this. We're right here on the timeline of the Goblins becoming a thing. You know, Goblin portals. And this is quite funny because this is probably one of the more fun things in Diablo 3 in general. But in Diablo 3, it was good because it was that good dopamine hit. But in Diablo 4, when they implement this, I think it's going to be complete shit. Because you need to understand the thing. The reason why it worked in Diablo 3, because I played this, I still played that a little bit, is because, you know, the goblins weren't everywhere, you know? The same way Diablo 4 ruined the Whispering Tree, Obolts, and all of these things, aka things that you didn't actively do, but they accumulated and you were like, oh, cool, I got this thing, now I'm gonna go in and hand it in and it's gonna be cool. Diablo 4 ruined it all by making it a passive thing that you accumulate and then you need to click claim reward and it's like melanin's activated or some shit like that, you know? In Diablo 3, the goblins were pretty good because they were rarish, you know? You play the game and every couple of 10 minutes you encountered like a goblin that was like, ooh, this is gonna drop big loot, I must kill it. And then you got into the goblin portal and it was even cooler. And you know, that was rare. But I have no doubt that when they implement this in Diablo 4, every basic enemy is going to be replaced with a fucking goblin. Okay? Mythic rares are no longer rares for months at this point, but when they introduce the Resplendent Spark goblins, it's going to be, okay, all your items are now mythic rares. Suck it up, Buttercup. It's going to be an absolute disaster.
Hey folks, this is Riker, and Diablo 4 is bringing back a fan-favorite feature from Diablo 3. We've also been teased that a familiar face will be returning in Season 8. And the devs have also addressed the topic of loot filters. Meanwhile, Path of Exile 2 is doubling down on towers, while also teasing a massive next update, tons of new gems coming. Last Epoch is gearing up for a huge Season 2. Monster Hunter...
Oh, I'm so excited for the Last Epoch thing. Again, the Last Epoch currently is the most dead game, but Even with its one cape couldn't play, it was not actually that.
Wild is shattering records, but that may actually be a bad thing. We've got a lot of topics to cover this week, so get your coffee, get comfy, and don't forget to subscribe to be alerted to new Saturday episodes. But before we move on, a quick word from this week's sponsor, Incogni.
Oh, wait. Obviously, I didn't mean that seriously, Riker.
Market. Alright, starting with some Diablo news. Diablo 2 Resurrected is currently 66% off. So if you've been waiting to revisit the classic, now's the time
Damn, that's an actual good game.
Do so. Or if you've never played Diablo 2 at all, but consider yourself a fan of ARPGs in general, then this is a great way to experience the game that's responsible for establishing the ARPG scene as we know it. Meanwhile, in Diablo 4...
Is Diablo 2 better than Diablo 4? Obvious questions are obvious. I mean, people are literally coming out with videos and talking about the fact that Diablo Immortal currently is actually way better than Diablo 4 in class design, itemization, endgame, early game, storytelling, everything. It's actually insane that the mobile game is currently literally slapping the shit out of Diablo 4. That is just insane, Blizzard.
4, March of the Goblins is returning on March 4th and running until March 11th. Get it? March of the Goblins? It ain't called February of the Goblins. And it seems the Wowhead data mine we spoke about last week was correct because the event is significantly upgraded with a reputation track. And through this reputation track...
Oh boy! Guys, another reputation track that none of us like. Yay! How the fuck are they judging that people like the reputation tracks? They're so boring, static, and just bad. Like, how is Blizzard... Like, honestly, is there any single one of you in the chat right now? In the comments section, in everywhere, okay? Your mom's basement, where you're unironically being like, oh boy, I love reputation tracks. I can't wait until I finish one and I can collect. No one's like that. Like, what the fuck?
We'll actually be able to increase the odds of getting loot bags to drop from goblins. But the event is also introducing a bevy of new goblins, 6 new goblin variants, each with unique loot drops.
Literally Diablo 3 mechanic. Again, this is a copy-pasted version of the mechanic, but you know what they're doing with this shit? They have cut it up in parts. I'm gonna be honest, I'm a little bit disappointed with myself that I only noticed it now, but in Diablo 3, the Goblin update got introduced fully. Okay, it was just like a Z-Goblin update, okay? That's what it was. But Diablo 4 actually cut up parts of the Goblin update and has added them, like, drip fed them in slowly one by one in, which is kind of insane. Because when you put all of this together, and this was the update that actually made me realize, wait a minute, this was all, none of this is just parts of Diablo 3's update, a Goblin update. It's insane. They literally took the fucking Goblin update and cut it up into small chunks and are drip feeding them so they can say, oh, look at the new mechanics. This is pathetic.
Are being introduced for March of the Goblins, but they're going to be permanent additions to the game as well. They're not going away after March of the Goblins. March of the Goblins is just going to be more goblin spawning in general, as well as a predisposition for goblin packs. Now, the new goblins include Odious Ector, which is like Diablo 3's Odious Collector. These drop crafting materials, including Obdusite when you're in Torment. Then there's the Gilded Baron, also returning from D3, who drops a ton of gold. There's Glittering Prim, who will drop gem fragments, runes, and in Torment, Undercity tributes, and scattered prisms. Then there's Curious Merle, who will drop Murmuring Obols. Actually, he drops a bag, technically, and that bag contains Murmuring Obols that you can open up, which is actually great because if your obols are full, then you can't pick up more. So instead, you get a bag, and then you can open that bag whenever you want. Then there's Gelatinous Cyrus, which is Diablo 3's Gelatinous Sire. This guy splits into 2 goblins when you kill him, and then those 2 split again when you kill them. Gelatinous Sires were the best goblins in D3 because each goblin was basically a whole goblin pack onto itself. Gelatinous Cyrus will be a good source of legendary items and can also drop gold, boss summoning materials, and elixirs. But the...
By the way, this is gonna piss people off. The average person's build is not one-shotting the fucking goblins. You know what's gonna happen here? People are gonna kill this goblin, then it splits into two, then they can't kill the fucking two, they kill one, that splits into two, and they lost a bunch of goblins. People are gonna be pissed, Wizards, Blizzard, whoever your whatever demon runs your company.
The pièce de résistance is fancy old Fedric, who is supposed to be incredibly rare and will drop a mythic unique plus a resplendent spark. So remember.
And after this, the new Goblin update is gonna be the portal to the Goblin realm. That's how it's gonna be, boys. Yep, that's how it's gonna be. That's the last part. That is the last part from Goblins that we are missing. Well, technically, the Resplendent Spark thing is also new, I guess, but, you know, who gives a shit?
Remember a couple weeks ago we were talking about those mysterious purple goblin portals we were seeing? I guess that was Blizzard actually teasing the arrival of these new goblins, and if so, I love that. I hope we see more teasers like this moving forward. I know I'll definitely be paying more attention now to anything unusual that's happening in game to see, oh, could it be a teaser for something to come? In other D4 news, Season 7 has been extended by 2 weeks, now ending on April 29th, meaning Season 8 has been delayed, and Rod Ferguson tweeted, quote, "Hey everyone, in the spirit of serving the game, not the plan, Season 8 will take a couple of weeks longer to bake than we initially anticipated. The team is hard at work on some great updates coming in the next season, so stay tuned. Looking forward to seeing an old friend." Who could this old friend be?
Tyrael? My assumption is Tyrael.
Is it friend in quotation marks? Is this actually an enemy and he's being ironic? Or is it a friend because they're kind of a friend, but not really? Could it be the return of Diablo? I doubt Diablo would come back outside of a major story expansion. Could it be Zoltan Kuhl? He's a friend-ish. We have seen him before, though, in Season 3.
Oh, the friend was in... Oh, got it. Quotations.
But, you know, maybe the season theme for Season 8 is going to reintroduce Kanai's Cube or the Haradra Cube, in which case it makes sense to...
Oh, right. I honestly thought the Haradra Cube is going to be implemented, like, at least 2 seasons earlier, okay? I think it's going to be either the Infernal Ring crafting or something along those sides, or the Cube still. Again, the Cube has to happen. Because currently Diablo 4, if you somehow manage to get to the end game, which is 5 hours of gameplay, which is like 99% more than most people can actually withstand Diablo 4, you understand the fact that, wait a minute, you actually have 0 fucking abilities to put things, greater affixes that impact your thing, because a lot of your stuff is actually like uniques and mythics. You kind of need those. So in reality, you have like only 3 slots on average per character to get some kind of legendary engraving. So you can upgrade the shit that you're using, which is really bad.
Bring in Kuhl again? Could it be Wirt the Peddler?
And extremely limiting, obviously.
That dastardly little schmuck that I wouldn't call him. Yeah, he's a friend. He's a real friend, right? But you know, could it be cow level related, right? Wirt's leg. Could it be Covetous Shen? There's been some alleged data mines about Season 8 involving the island of
Who was this? Was this the gem guy from Diablo 3? I like the gem guy from Diablo 3, honestly. He was the best part about the game.
Kansai, which I believe Covetous Shen is from there. And he's sort of like a trickster kind of guy. Anyway, folks, sound off in the comments with your guesses as to who this friend will be. This way, if you're right, then you have a handwritten, time-stamped record, and we can all go back and see that you nailed it. Now, speaking of Rod Ferguson, last week I spoke about how at a Dice Talk, Rod expressed that giving players a roadmap saw an immediate increase in player counts in Diablo 4. And I was like, I don't remember ever getting a roadmap.
We saw
in
this.
D4.
That's funny.
Well, Rod clarified that he was actually talking about Diablo Immortal, not Diablo 4. The on-site journalist must have misunderstood. So this, what you're looking at right now, this is a Diablo Immortal roadmap. What a thing of beauty. Look at that.
Dude, the fact that Diablo Immortal has more classes Bro, I need to go play Diablo Immortal, I guess.
I would love to see a roadmap like this for Diablo 4. We know we're getting a roadmap for Diablo 4. I think it's coming in April, so we'll have to see what kind of roadmap we get. Also, quick PSA, if you're hoping for a loot filter, Blizzard basically said no in a video they released
obviously.
this week, in which they answered some questions.
Dude, everyone wants a loot filter. Everyone is begging for a loot filter, but they're not implementing a loot filter because that would mean giving up on the idea that their items are not shit. Because that's literally giving up. Implementing a loot filter literally admits that they have not managed to make anything better. That's a thing. And two, implementing a loot filter, considering the average actual unironic Diablo 4 enjoyer currently is either a dad with 5 wives, 10 children, and he has 0.3 negative seconds a day to play video games, or he has 2 fucking brain cells fighting over 3rd place, okay? Those kinds of players.
Questions about hot community topics.
And they would obviously not be able to set up a loot filter, so there you go.
That they want us to use every part of the animal. Basically, that trash loot serves the purpose of being broken down into crafting materials, and so this loot is actually useful to us.
What is the point of that? All the crafting materials you can ever want are in absolute abundance.
Because without it, then we can't engage with all the various crafting systems. And sure, great point. So, counter proposal, instead of a loot filter that selectively hides a loot, what about a loot filter that selectively salvages stuff automatically? You basically get to decide what kind of items that drop get automatically salvaged. So you'll see the item drop, and then you see it poof into crafting materials automatically. That should solve the problem, right? Trash loot still has weight.
No. I think Blizzard is trying to obfuscate this. Because Path of Exile does the same thing, by the way, if you did not know. It takes a while to figure the fuck out what's happening, but this is effectively anti-burnout prevention, okay? And these are the small breaks between blasting that people have into picking up loot, checking if it's good. If it's not, you sell it to the vendor, you dismantle it, you whatever the fuck you do with it. Diablo 4 has it. Path of Exile obviously has it, and Path of Exile also has map crafting, you know, and stuff like that. And in Path of Exile 2, you also have an atlas where you need to pick where you're going and you're checking things. These are all anti-burnout things that you have, okay? And and I think Blizzard is very keenly aware if they just let people never pick up anything, because the reality is, from all the shit that you have in Diablo 4 in the end game when you're at max torment, like, what, you maybe get an item that's maybe good or maybe almost feasible once every 5 hours of gameplay? So that just makes it so that you non-stop are blasting. You're just blasting constantly, okay? And that's gonna burn people out. Every game has this small window of relaxation and not doing that, okay? And that's it. And every game has it, and every game will always fucking keep having it.
And meaning to it. We're making use of it. We're making use of it to engage with the crafting systems. But we get the enormous quality of life of it not cluttering our screens for more than a moment. We don't have to leave a bunch of stuff behind because too much stuff is dropping. We don't have to sift through the sand to find the diamonds. And we're not given the mindless task of picking up garbage, loot, and bringing it to the industrial wood chipper to get paid our salary of crafting materials. And Blizzard did say that they're not saying never to a loot filter. They're still open, as always, to feedback from the community.
Open as always, but for some reason it's been a year since people have asked it. At no point has anyone ever actually stopped asking for a loot filter, and Blizzard's like, no.
We also learned this week that next Friday, March 7th, there will be a campfire chat where they give us a preview of patch 2.2.0. They'll be talking about the test realm for the next season. Now, I was expecting a mid-season patch campfire before the PTR campfire for next season. So this is a surprise and kind of suggests that we're actually not getting a campfire for the mid-season patch.
Oh boy, I wonder what, by the way, the next season is gonna be. What version of Vampiric Pulvers this time are we gonna get? Because Season of the Witch was literally Vampiric Pulvers, but slightly different. Slightly better. That's coming from a person who played this season for 2 hours, by the way. Yeah, that's probably more than almost everyone in the world, to be honest. I'm literally the 1%er. Not even, honestly, I'm not even joking with that. I'm probably like the top 1% of Diablo players because I spent 2 hours playing this garbage.
And we actually got some patch notes as well this week for a patch releasing on March 4th. And looking at the contents, I think this is actually serving as the mid-season patch because it includes some buffs to every class on underperforming builds, as well as buffs to underperforming witch powers. Oh, but best of all in the patch notes, turbo buffs to the Conduit Shrine. They are being adjusted to aggressively scale with player level and Paragon level. The example they gave was that the average increase in damage from a Conduit Shrine in Torment 3 has been increased by a factor of 37. So, hopefully this finally makes these...
A factor of 37. So you just one-shot everything with the Conduit Shrine. Cool, that's actually good. It only took them forever to figure that shit out. Jesus Christ, like Diablo 3 Conduit Shrine, love it. Everyone enjoyed it. Diablo 4 Conduit Shrine, please make the suffering end. Just blow my brains out, daddy, thank you. How do you fuck up so hard? Again, it's honestly not even the fact that Diablo 4 is just too brain damage to pick the fun things that Diablo 3 implemented over the years, because again, a broken clock is right 2 times a day. But they're just fucking up already existing things. Like, how do you mess up a Conduit Shrine? How? Diablo 3's Conduit Shrine was great. People loved it. And Diablo 4's is shit tier. Like, bruh.
He's worth grabbing in Torment 4. And lastly, folks, in case you missed it, I posted a video this week about my predictions about Diablo 4's next expansion. So do check that out and let me know if your predictions...
His prediction is Paladin. Yeah, I can concur, by the way. Yeah, I also think it's Paladin or a Holy class.
line up with mine.
Because we literally don't have a Holy class.
On to some Path of Exile news. Grinding Gear Games has announced that the current Freesia event in PoE 1 will be extended by another month, running until late April. This means more time to explore the 19 new ascendancies, but it also means more time spent with the idol system, which is not exactly a beloved replacement for the Atlas tree for many players. Now, on the trade market, good idols can get really pricey, making them inaccessible for a lot of players or otherwise requiring a ton of grinding, farming up of...
Oh, come the... If you want to be rewarded hollowly for anything that you do, go play Diablo 4. Don't play Path of Exile. It's a game where you're supposed to spend time and actually grind and do shit to get ahead. If you want to have the strongest character in Path of Exile, yeah, you're gonna have to grind a lot. It is what it is. Anyway, that was Riker's 10 out of 10. Bye!